Well, it cut me off in the last video, so let's go into it here. And I'm going to show you the process how actually in Blackboard how to go build. So we've gone through our little course planning document and we figured out what the title of our course is, what our objectives, what is our description, how we're going to use that for the course. Then we know what our textbooks are going to be and we know what our course contents are. We have decided if we're going to use a course module or if we're going to use the folders. It doesn't matter, your choice. And then we call our couple different things like we've already figured out our chunking, we've gone through our syllabus, we've used it to dissect. We've gone through the little practice sheet here, we're giving you a little example of one. We've gone through and circled and written in what we want it to call it, how we want it to be, where do we want to organize, reorganize, put it through. So we've done all our brainstorming and we figured out how we want to organize it. So we know the why, we know the how, now let's go actually do it. And we've kept in mind a couple of things, like we've got our organization, we've got our consistency. We've decided how we're going to collaborate with our students, the email, discussion boards, wiki, blogs, etc. We figured out how our students are going to collaborate, how they're going to communicate back and forth with each other, and occasionally us. And we're going to monitor that. I mean, they are, after all, still students, so we're still going to monitor some things. We decided what our assignments are going to be, because those are going to go into our different chunks and our different content areas. And we know what assessments we're going to use, because every particular chunk, unit, module, lesson plan, weekly unit, whatever it's going to be, should have some kind of assessment in there, even if it's nothing more than a discussion board post, and the students are going to discuss about it. So we have gone through and we've used that handout to help us to go through and plan and figure out what it is we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So we've used our document to do the planning process. Now let's go build. And let me show you how to go build, because believe it or not, this is the hard part. The hard part is deciding how it's going to go together and what everything's going to go in there. The building process is actually much easier, especially if you just use the template that I've got created and I give it to you and I drop it in there, because then all you have to do is go in and customize things and move them around. So we're going to plan my sandbox. This is the sandbox I have created for me to play with. So here's my landing screen. It lands on my notification page. Here's my banner. Here's my video explaining the course and how to explore things. Here's my course communication. So these are my different content areas that I've set in. Remember what I said, figure out what those are going to be and figure out what's important. You should always have some kind of communication, general information, and then you get into your course content. Again, this is not the correct way of showing your course content because I have more than 8 items. Again, I did this on purpose because I want to show you different things. How do we go in and how do we add items and how do we do all this? All right, so, and again, I'm in my sandbox and I'll show you what it looks like in the actual template where it looks better. So just click on the little plus sign right here in your navigation menu. And when you do, it's going to pull up the different items we're going to go through. So I'm going to start first with the subheader, and I'm just going to call it test. Notice I've kept it all caps because it's just a test to show you how to do it. And it's automatically going to place it towards the bottom is where it should be. There we go. So there's my test. If I don't want my test there, let's say I want it to go elsewhere, I simply click on that little arrow and I can move it up. So let's move it up here to the top just for funsies. All right. Next thing I'm going to add is I'm going to add divider because we want to separate those areas. And again, it's just a matter of grabbing those up and down arrows with your mouse and moving it up to where it needs to go. So this is my area. Now, inside of my test, let's say I'm going to go ahead and let's build class weekly units. Add content area. And because in my syllabus I've said that we're going to have weekly units, or we're going to have weekly lesson plans. This is what I'm going to call it, available to users, and hit submit. Again, just grab it, pull it up. And then I can click on that, and inside of there is where I'm going to start building and placing the different things in. So I can now click on build content, and this is where you would decide you want to use a content folder or a learning module. Doesn't matter, again, it's your personal preference. My personal preference is more towards a learning module because you can keep it together in the little binder and they have to follow it in the orders you want it to go in. You can put it whatever method you want. You can add a click to an item here, etc. My advice is build that learning module. So we'll just build a learning module real quick. I'm just going to call it test 2. And you would put your description for everything here. And then you would set things here and all that kind of stuff. Right there. A lot of professors I know I've discovered spend a lot of time setting the start and end dates on all of their items that they put inside these content areas, and actually that's a waste of time. If you create that content area, you can just go to that content area now because you've built that like learning module inside that content area. You can set the time here. So click on it, because if you don't click on it, set the dates, and they're going to be able to see it. And I can say I want them to be able to see it from this time to, I don't know, this time. So anything inside of that learning module for that time frame is what they're going to be able to see for that time frame. If you want to open it and you want to be able to see it for the whole semester, set the ending for the end of the semester. If you only want to see it for a week, you set it for a week. You set your start and your start and stop times for these folders. So I'm just going to leave it like this right now. You can track number of views if you want to, but that's just data that just says that they clicked on it. It doesn't really guarantee that they actually looked at it and paid attention. So you can if you want, turn on. It just depends on what kind of data you like to track. And it's grayed out now right now because I've set the time frame for later today, just to show you. Then I click on that module. Come on. And then you can build your items inside that module. And that's like how I like to do it. So you can add files, items. You can click and add your videos. This is where you can add all kinds of different things in here. So this is where we do the adding. So I've built a little subheading here, my area. Then I've added a content area, and inside another content area inside of it, and then I start building inside that learning module. So my content area, learning module, building, putting the items inside that learning module. Or it could be your content area, content folder, and putting everything in there. And it could be your videos and everything else. And it's real easy to reorder everything. Everything works the same way. The way you have them in here, you just click on that little arrow with your left mouse, grab it with your left mouse, drag it to where you need it to go. You can do the same thing in any of your content folders or the learning modules. It all works the same way. Let's say that I'm doing this and I don't want the students to see it when they log in because I'm still playing with it and I'm not quite sure about it. Left click with your mouse on that down chevron, that little arrow, and simply click hide. Once you've done that, you will now see that little grayed out box, the slash through it. That means you can see it and you're working in it, but it's not live for the students to view yet. If you decide that you've put something in and you just totally messed it up, and if there's nothing important in it, let's try it again. Left click again, and you can delete and get rid of it. And technically, there's really nothing in here that I'm worried about keeping in it, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. And it's going to warn you and make sure that do you really want to delete this. So you can do all those different things in it. Now, let's go actually show you our course. It's actually got a little bit of everything in it. So here's the basic template that I just came up and created. So save y'all time and not having to build all those different content areas and all that. I built a generic one that has all the basics and that you can go and customize. So here's the banner. Again, we can have a banner made for you. Just get with me and discuss about this, and we can get with the design team and they can create a banner for you. Here's course media. This is my landing page. If I don't like this landing page, I can change it to something else. I'll show you that here in a second. And then here's all my different areas. So I have organized and decided that this is my course communication. This is what's important. My notifications, because I want to send announcements out. That's going to go announcements, emails to students about things. Information about the instructor. So you click on it and it's going to pull up my little Vita there. Virtual office. Virtual office is really a discussion board, to be brutally honest. The easiest way for you to run it. And it'll pull up here because it likes to slow down, as you can see. It's not just you it likes to picks on me too. I've created that little icon here, the little virtual office, and it explains everything, and it even shows right here below to students how they can add. So the students can go in here and they can create that discussion on the form, and then you can log in and answer it, and students can go here to read answers. And if you get students trained in this process, believe it or not, they'll start answering the questions for you. That's always a win-win for me as far as I'm concerned, especially if it's just some things that they should know if they've been in class and listening. I know in the classroom, yeah, it's always, you work smarter, not harder. They finally start getting it and get it from there. Grades, believe it or not, you would think they could scroll down to the bottom and find it, but the grades are important to students, so we put those up there where they can get to it. Sending email, I always require mine only communicate through the Blackboard email and only through the Sam Houston email. That's kind of a standard practice here at Sam also. Meet your professor. This is something that's completely optional. It's just to them to get to know you, because some of them, this may be the only time they get to meet you is virtually. So you're only doing these e-learning. You're only doing these e-lectures. This is how they know you. Your face, this little bitty square at the very bottom here, and then your lecture here. Syllabus and schedule, and you click on it, and it literally pulls up that, and you can use in here whatever you like. If you're not sure you want to keep something in here, here's key. Look, see it turned off. Make sure you turn it back on. If you go to click on it and it doesn't work, don't strangle your computer. Go look for that little on button. There we go. And it's just a matter if you can go in and you can edit it and you can turn that off so that they don't see it. So we can kind of hide those different things too. Then you come into required textbooks, slide reading resources. Required textbooks is really cool because you can do that little search link and you can actually insert your textbook so there's no excuse. You can literally go find your textbook and put it in there, and then they'll have a choice. They know it's got it right there. Boom. And then you start getting into your actual instruction. Again, there's your start here under the content area. Always have a start here. That always leads them to the next area. So you have your start here, course introduction, introduction video explaining about the course, possibly a welcome letter if you want it or not. You can delete it if you don't. And then link. It takes you straight to the learning modules. So this one's going to go in straight into, there's the learning modules right there. And here they are, they're created. And so all you have to do now is go through and put in your information. I've put a lot of generic ones in here that I thought you might like. So here's like, how do you add content? So here's a quick link if you don't know how to add content. How do you make quizzes? Here's some links to how do you make quizzes and how do you put quizzes in. Here's an example quiz for you to look at to give you kind of an idea how to do a syllabus quiz. Those are always really good to do because that way you get the students used to using the testing component in Blackboard in a low-stake manner, gets them used to it, and how to submit assignments and etc. And if you don't know how to do that, there's links to everything here for you. To see what it actually looks like, go click on that Go to Student View. And now let's go see what it actually looks like when students are viewing it, because what you see is slightly different from what they see. We're going to see it in that chronological list, like the folders, boom, 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 we can move them around. Students, however, will not see it in that way. They will not be able to move it around. They're going to be forced into viewing it the way you want them to. So they have to go through it in steps and processes that you want them to go into. And click. If you ever forget to click out of Return to Student Teacher View and then you try to go back and edit, you're going to have to log out and log on back all the way in. Been there, done that, I was not happy. I was like, no, why can't I? And you just have to log out and log back in. It's okay. So don't get upset with yourself if you do it. We've all been there, done that. I have included links to helps to university policies, all this kind of different stuff over here. It's already listed. I've hidden the ones that I wasn't sure if you wanted to use or not. Remember, if you want to hide them, the drop-down chevron, left click, show link. That's all it takes to unlock it. That way they can see it. So it's there for them to see if you want them to. Oh, come back. There it goes. Left click. And then quick links. Again, you just add a link to a website. You can add a link to a website. So you can use copy. I use the Sam Houston website and the Ag Science website. Those are just the two examples I gave you. If you feel like you really want to customize things and make things different, that this is too generic for you, you can click here on the little fan and you can pick from the different things that are already created in Blackboard. Again, I highly encourage you to think about the end user, because some of these colors are really cool, but they are definitely not what I would consider good graphic design for online learning, because they're be strenuous somewhat on the eyes. So yes, have fun and make it the way you want it to be, but kind of really look at it and step back and maybe like actually show it on the big screen, because I guess you go, whoa, you can see what it looks like. You can get it in here also. Customization.
Getting it ready for my
Teaching style.
computer.
Is it on it? It's coming?
Yeah, Miss Joy said she thought they were here today.
And then here you can do the same thing. So my landing page is currently notifications. You could change it to your grades. Like if you really want to focus on, pay attention to what your grades are, knuckleheads. You can click here and change it to that if you wanted to. I'm going to leave it on notifications. You can change your themes here also.
Been here for like 2 weeks.
And it'll show, give you an idea of what they kind of look like.
Oh, all that stuff's free for whoever wants it.
Sweet.
You can add buttons if you prefer, and you can change the colors if you want. Again, advise against the buttons simply because everybody's using things on portable devices, and that's not the best.
Yeah, I'll put it there.
Keep it an icon of text. You can change your banner, so once the banner is given to you, we can upload and put it in. If you feel a little uncomfortable with this is a simple thing I can go in and do for you, because some people sometimes, for some reason, this one can be a little intimidating for some reason. If you want to use your own graphics that you've created, that's great. Just remember again that you don't want it to take up half the screen at the top. The goal is to keep everything in a concise area where they can see everything when they click on that landing page. So if you want to have this really cool picture of you and your kids, put that on the meeting your professor page, but don't have it on the landing page where they land into it, because you want to make sure it's something they can easily get to. And then you get done, you just hit submit, and it's going to apply it to it. I'm going to hit cancel because I didn't do anything I want to save. Alright, so there's all your basics and your basic how-tos, and of course I'll get into more in depth on like how to add videos, and I have some stuff already created on how to make your quizzes and put them in, and I will continue to build things as I build things. Remember, go to our website that I've created for us so you have your just-in-time manipulatives and videos there for you to use. And as always, shoot me an email, stop by and see me, and I'll do everything I can to help you. That's what I'm here for. All right.